Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams and ACTN. My name is Steve David, I think, and I'm your host. Today we have a panel of great experts. We got a couple of new guys in the panel, or not new faces, but who haven't been here for a little while. So we're going to welcome them back to the panel again. Before, let me introduce my co-host, Narada Wilson. Narada, welcome.
So we're going to discuss the topic on football today, and welcome, gentlemen.
And let me welcome back my good buddy, Anthony Clark. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me again, Steve. It's always a pleasure to speak about football. I have a passion for it. So thank you for inviting me again.
Thank you for being here. And Anthony Sherwood, welcome back, bud. I know you had some slight problems with the foot, but how do you feel?
Yeah, everything's good now, Steve, so I really appreciate the invitation.
And my opponent, my teammate, and other things, and Alvin Henderson. Alvin, welcome to the set.
I know you just age yourself saying those things, but I'm always happy to come and talk football with you, Steve. It's become now it looks like this is almost home to me, so I'm very comfortable here.
I'm happy to have you. That's why I keep bringing you back, and I'm not going to stop. So open up some time for us. Okay, viewers, we have a panel who is going to talk about what's the right brand for our football, because it seems as though one day we play something different to the next day, and we want to be consistent, guys. So barbershop discussion, as usual. I'll let you guys get to work on this. What is the right brand for TT football? Who wants to start?
I think the doctor in the house should start this
The
conversation.
doctor in the house?
Yes.
Taki's given forward the age. That's a little surprising to me. But I'll start by saying that I've always felt that that we had the right mixture intermittently throughout the years. And when we played with that mixture of the key assets that make up our football, we have done the best. 1973 and in 89, around that era, and again in the late 90s, we had a brand of football, and perhaps in the mid-2000s as well, a brand of football that was built on three essentials, in my opinion. It was built on speed, it was built on creativity, especially in the middle of the park, and it was also built on the agility of the players. And we need to play a brand of football. I'll start off by saying we need to play a brand of football in Trinidad and Tobago where those three assets of our natural assets of our players are honed in, taken to the max, and are brought into a system of play where everybody could feel comfortable on the field.
Anybody? What else you
I agree totally with Alvin. I think when you think about establishing a brand, it's something that has to be communicated to everybody in football. So in other words, if ultimately Dennis Lawrence says that, listen, the type of football that we want to play is a game that's based on the ball being moved, a lot of combinations, an exciting brand of football, then the guys who are working with the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, those guys should be working with the intention that 10 years from now, those kids that they're starting with are gonna possess those qualities. So those are things maybe that should be emphasized with the young players first and foremost, so that you're getting generation on generation of players who possess a certain quality about the way they play the game. So it becomes a little easier when they get older, 16, 17, to sort of fit in to the brand maybe that we've decided we want to play.
I don't want you guys to all agree with Alvin. Don't let Alvin dictate the pace of this thing. But I know Anthony's not going to agree because he went to college and he told the
Principal.
The priest.
Yeah, Brother Michael.
Brother Michael, I'm not playing football for this school. So, Clarky, get to work, son.
Actually, it was Anthony's and it was Anthony's team at that time. Anthony was younger than I. He came on board, and he had a struggle with some players. He was way and far above the rest of them.
Okay.
I was a national goalkeeper at that time, under 19, and he asked me to help the younger ones. And I, being mannish at that age, I said, well, Michael, I have a reputation to upkeep. I ain't going to play with them young fellas right now.
Right.
Anyway, moving forward. I do have to agree with Alvin and Anthony in terms of the type of player that comes out of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
And we should build on a brand based on the players that we have. That's the only thing that you can do. The type of players you have will determine the type of brand that you play.
Right.
You cannot have unskillful players and try to play the Brazilian possession brand of football. You cannot have English players and decide to play that Brazilian brand of football. So the brand of football or the style of football would be determined by the type of individual that you groom in your country. I would also go on Anthony's point. Our problem here is that everybody does their own thing. There is no structure whereby we are not a unit, unified as a country in terms of any of our sports, even cricket, even netball. We need to understand what our brand is, what our style is, and that should be inculcated to the 8s, the 7s, the 9s, the 13s, the 14s, and also in the college league, right? You find that the college league where it's the main feeding ground for national football, for professional football. The style of football is all over the place. What I think Trinidad can play based on well, before I go there, the style and brand of football also depends strongly on the character of players. Not just the type of players, but the character of the individual. For example, if you intend to play let us go to a team that everybody knows, Barcelona. Their brand of football is what you call something tiki-taka type of football, right? That's right. I don't know how much of our viewers ever heard that terminology. But it is strongly based on triangles when they are not in the attacking third, and they move triangles as they see they could outnumber players. And as they get into the attacking third, they move that ball right one touch all around until they just a tick-tack, 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 and that is why it's termed tiki-taka type of football. I strongly believe that we have the ability to play a form of tiki-taka football, meaning that our players are generally skillful, they're very quick, they're very agile, as Alvin has said. That is why I agree with him. However, when I speak about the character of the individual, to play that brand of football, you require
Discipline.
hard work and discipline, and you have to study the game. So the character of the individual, although they have the skill, they have the ability, they have everything there that could afford them to play that, the character of the individual comes into play. So therefore, although we have that ability, your brand also changes based on your opponent.
Well, no.
Your brand has to be altered based on your opponent at times.
If I am playing you and you're going to change because of me, I think I have the
altered. I don't say
advantage.
change. I said altered, meaning that, for example, if you have an opponent who decides to press you high, you are accustomed coming out with the ball very comfortably and they drop off, and you are accustomed coming out very comfortably, and they now decide to press you, like how those South American teams will play you. You may have to join brands. You can use the possession tiki-taka, but you also have to go may have to go direct if you have the players to do so. If you have the players to do so. So that is why I said altered, right? Not changed, but altered.
So let me hear Narada then, because Narada has been.
Yeah, no. I think, it really comes from the players. And I think what we have to look at to develop a brand, or the brand has been there, is that a lot of our players are successful going to and I use the American circuit in terms of the colleges. And those players that are selected for colleges, because I know the American system does really well with recruiting, they usually send scouts or whatever. The Trinidadian player that is afforded the opportunity most of the times, it's because of the skill, it's because of the speed and the ability, the agility and stuff like that. And I think that shows that if they're sending persons to recruit and the person's coming to Trinidad, they always go back saying the guy's pretty quick and he's very agile. So I think it's two of the characteristics that we need to realize, hey, if they're seeing this as a trait and they're seeing that it's something that they need to put in their teams. And those guys, most of the Trinidadians, when they go abroad to university, they are successful at the university on the soccer level. So it's something that we need to capture and say, listen, it is our brand of football. The player usually is pretty quick. We have to also understand that from a very young age, whether now scientifically they're saying, they have some disadvantages with it, our players have been playing on big fields for quite a long time. Whereas you look at the European system, or even some of the South American countries, from a very young age, they only play on small fields. So it's more touches or whatever the case is. The Trinidadian player usually is less touches, he has more runs. So you find that we're somewhat more comfortable on the ball. The guys that are usually very skillful, they're very confident on the ball, they could run long distances, they could dribble past a couple guys. And we've seen it even on the national team today, and some of the successful teams that you all spoke about, the guys that stood out were the guys that were the quick guys, even yourself, Steve, that is what people always speak about. So I think we have to really sit down and say, listen, that is what we look for, and we need to let all our clubs in Trinidad and Tobago know one of the first things is that usually our players are very quick and agile. Build the system around that.
Having played professional football on a multinational team with different players,
right?
I've learned culture, like Brazil and Trinidad, is like the same culture. We drink bush tea, we very agile, we in this is samba mode.
Right.
As opposed to English players, you ask them to stretch, and they could even put sit on the ground and put their foot flat, their knees all bent, because they're not very flexible. But Brazilians, Trinidadians, Africans, Portuguese,
Spanish, yes.
they can do that. So it's a culture thing as well.
Yeah, because a lot of it comes from the dance aspect
kind of
and the cultural aspects. If you look at some of the dance traits, they all, you're using the foot a little more than some of the European cultures, So that influences heavily on the characteristics of the player that you get.
Okay, so I think the country, Alvin,
Yes, definitely.
has something
And
to do with
you
it.
mentioned
And
something
how-
there. The people who play in hot climates, as we do,
Correct.
conservation of energy is one of the important things. And when I was talking about speed, our speed in football in Trinidad used to come in bursts. It came in bursts. It was not an all-out speed
correct.
where you were playing at a breakneck speed for 90 minutes. We used intermittent speed, which is one of the qualities that coaches, it's hard to coach against somebody who is coming at you intermittently with fast bursts of speed. One of the things I would like to stress here is in the development of the players that we're talking about, one of the problems that I see has been happening over the years is that, and I have not quite put a finger on it yet, I think I have an idea what, and I'm going to mention it here, is that our players, the touch is not as good as it used to be in years gone by. A lot of that has to be because of the personal challenges that players have. People don't train as hard or train as hard as individuals or alone as they used to. But I thought the players in the past put a lot more emphasis on training alone. We tend to, in Trinidad and Tobago, and this is where I think the creativity aspect of our game is being stymied. We tend in Trinidad and Tobago to have too much coaching at a younger level. You say that we say, well, it's not organized, it's not structured. But if you have to structure it the right way. And if you overcoach at a youth level, you don't give the player the chance
Correct.
to solve his own problems. He must be able to solve some of the problems on his own. We have a tendency to overcoach, and the coach now has a tendency in Trinidad and Tobago to stifle the dribbler, to stifle the player who's holding on to the ball.
I agree.
And now everybody is into the passing mode of football. Yet, at the highest level, it's the player of real quality with individual skills that we give a claim to.
Right.
And I would just like to use one point to stress on what Alvin was saying. When you look at some of the coaches in Trinidad, for example, whether it's documented or not, when they're teaching you to pass the ball, they give you maybe 3 or 4 types of passes. And I sat down, and in Brazil, documented, they have at least 10. So they consider one of the shots, it's not only with the instep, they actually consider toe, kicking with the toe, hitting with the splice with the last 2 toes. So it's certain things that they have realized in their culture, it's necessary. So they're not going to tell the athlete that that is wrong. If that is how he solved the problem at a young age, what we need to do is harness it, and it will work, you know?
Yes.
But you don't see those things happening at Anthony Sherwood's coaching school that you mentioned.
No, it's funny.
Yes,
it's funny Alvin mentioned that
Yes.
because I have to tell you, that is a constant debate that exists within
Coaching.
my setup, for instance, because I kind of feel like, to be honest with you, I don't know if we're ever going to get to the point where we're producing players who are world beaters consistently. So my outlook tends to be a bit more pragmatic. So in other words, what I would like to ensure is that if a player goes from my environment and he's representing the national under-15 team, the one thing that the coach at the under-15 team will rest assured is that this is a kid who is fundamentally very, very sound. His technique is good, his passing ability is good, his movement is good. So as much as I would like to see kids who are just, you know, phenomenally good in possession, dynamic in terms of how they, you know, they go past players, at the same time, for me, it's so important that they possess, you know, those qualities that allow them to be good players for whomever they go on to, you know? So that for me is a constant debate, you know, is there too much information that we're giving, or should we give more, you know, or should we just let them, you know, figure it out themselves? That is the thing that we're constantly fighting with, to be honest with you. And a lot of that is based on what I may see in the colleges league, for instance. So I go and I watch a game between 2 teams, and you've seen maybe, you know, 10 minutes of what we consider to be good football. One of the teams has put the ball on the floor and has moved it and created opportunities as a result of playing what we consider to be good football. If you're going and you're not seeing that in the games, it's going to influence the way we approach, you know, our coaching.
All right, I've got to go to break now, but Anthony, when we come back, I want to hear what you have to say on this topic. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break. Right.
And the game has now become very boring, and we have to look for the opportunity, 1 or 2 opportunities, to see who's best in transition to be able to outnumber somebody and play decent football.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Still tuned into ACT and Field of Dreams is what you're looking at. Anthony, let me hear what you have to say on this.
What Anthony has identified there is exactly what we have spoken about on several occasions on this program. Because there's no philosophy, you find that coaches now have to take this initiative on their own to figure that out. I would love to know, Anthony, if any of the youth national coaches ever visited your training program.
I've had Alvin Henderson, Dr. Alvin Henderson, at one of my sessions.
But Alvin Henderson is not presently a national
at the
coach.
at the time, he was a member of the technical committee, and as soon as we saw him, I told the kids, I said, that gentleman there is involved with football, you know, at a pretty high level. It's important that you all demonstrate to him, you
Sure,
know, a
what
lot
you
of the
got.
qualities that you possess, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I can't say that I have.
And that is the point. From a national technical committee level, that is not happening. We have not identified the coaches that are producing good players. We're not communicating with them to try to say, well, look, I would like you to concentrate more on this for us because, right, we see him potentially making the national youth team, and I would like you to coach more of this. So the coach gets some encouragement and some counsel from the persons who are technically being seen as the head of the Trinidad and Tobago football fraternity. And because that is not happening, the infrastructure of coaching is left to the personal choices of each coach and their coaching school. And that is something that we have to, and this all links back to the brand of football that the country will eventually play. We even have that problem, Alvin, with the under-15 team playing a different brand from the under-17 team, and the under-17 team playing a different brand
Well,
from
I
the
know.
under-19 team.
So we're trying to figure out what's our brand.
Exactly. But if we don't have that communication, even at the national level amongst the age groups, that's what this discussion is about, what we think our brand should be.
Let me tell you something. How come the world could adapt to things? Every team adapted this. The ball comes from one player in the defense and goes to the next, to the next, to the next. It goes to the goalkeeper, it's swinging around. How come they do that? Everybody adapt to that. So there has to be a way that we can adapt to one thing.
Agreed.
What I would say is probably the process that Mr. Clark is given, it actually might have to be the reverse in Trinidad because of the fact that what you're offering for the federation maybe to go out is if they had the brand documented, but
Correct.
it isn't there.
Correct.
So what I actually think may need to happen is when they make these visits, they have to speak with the coaches in the different communities.
Who's they you're talking about?
As in, if the federation to develop a philosophy for Trinidad's brand,
Okay.
because the coaches are dealing with the players of today. So Mr. Sherwood might say, hey, what I'm realizing now is a lot of the kids are coming with X, Y, Z as their skill assets. What they're lacking is X, Y, Z. So now that is the new generation of players. Those are the players that would probably help us for the next 10 years. So we may end up speaking to him, a few other clubs in South, and realize, hey, the Southern players, these are the traits that we're seeing in the modern player from South. Go to the West, North, East, that is what we're seeing. And then from there, now we could build on that, because I think in the eras before, you were building the teams based on, as you were saying, the players that were coming. The federation can't necessarily make the proposal like saying, this is what we want to play, everyone follow it. Because it isn't there yet. So what we have to do is say, this is what we're seeing happening, let's document it and make the proposal so everybody does it.
But I don't want us to be administrators. I want us to look at this is the country, this is the type of food we eat, this is our body structure, this is how we like to. I want to know what we should be playing that suits us.
If we throw a ball out as a coach, you throw a ball out on the field of play.
Right.
To
But little kids.
Trinidadians, little kids playing,
Right.
under 10, and you throw a ball out, and you'll see them the happiest
Right.
when they are in possession of that
Correct.
ball, running, trying to dribble something.
Correct.
Right.
And we were all in that sphere. Yes, we know now that dribbling is not the be-all and end-all of the game, but the game, in my opinion, has become too boring as a passing game, 11v11, where a number of players can get back in defense quickly, and people without the creativity to go past 2 or 3 players.
Right.
And the game has now become very boring, and we have to look for the opportunity, 1 or 2 opportunities, to see who's best in transition to be able to outnumber somebody and play decent football. Football that is attractive to everybody. I was bored a lot when I went to the European Championships, and I was bored a lot in watching at the football, because the football is in Europe is now everybody is pass. You hardly ever see somebody taking on 2 and 3 players or whatnot. It may be unsuccessful, but if it works, you're past the defense and you're causing trouble. But you hardly ever see that. And in Trinidad and Tobago, as I said before, dribbling ability is innate in our people. Right. Speed is innate. We have to use those qualities to be a major part of our brand. And that is the attractive brand, part of the brand to the spectator.
Well, let me ask you something, Doc. Is that approach to football, and obviously, I mean, we all grew up in that era when, you know, I think the way you stated yourself was based on your ability with the football,
skill,
you know? But is that brand and an approach to playing the game something that would allow us to have success? If, you know, in terms of qualifying for World Cups and establishing ourselves?
No, but let me answer that, Alvin. I think we misunderstand what Alvin is saying. Being able to have that skill and the decision on when to use it is what the character of the individual is now. But he is saying that we're not even developing this skill. So, therefore, right, a Messi. Messi doesn't hold the ball and dribble from the back to the front. He uses his skill, his decision-making at a particular time to dribble and play that thing. What he is saying is that because we are moving away from that and only teaching the player to pass, his decision-making now, if he has the skill, he can then make a decision, okay, I can dribble pass. But without the skill, he can't make that decision. So in fact, right, let me pull back. The first quality I see, my personal view, for any person to make a football team is skill. That's the first quality that you should have to make a football team, including the goalkeepers. Skill. After skill, you can develop the other things, but the skill comes, right, that is what should be there, innate in you, all right? So helping the players develop like that and then now guiding them on their choices, because you can now increase their intelligence and tell them, look, I think you should have passed there, and then you could have made this run, and therefore help them with their decision-making. But they must possess that ability to be able to dribble.
They have players who's very skillful, cannot dribble, but the first touch is unbelievable. That prepares them for the rest of the game, like a Pogba. And then they have players like the Hazard or the Messi, who can take it and run with it in crowds. And then they have the other players, the Ronaldo, who's a little bit different, who might hit it longer and run past you and more be aggressive. So there's different skill set that is necessary, but not, I mean, you have to adjust.
But how many teams in world football, I mean, let's be honest, Steve, can actually say that they have influenced or created a brand of football that's recognized worldwide? If I think about it, the Brazilians, of course.
Brazilians.
The English, with the all English.
The long
passes.
Exactly.
The Italians, who are always known for being very, very disciplined defensively.
And the Spanish.
And the Spanish. The Spanish with the tiki-taka.
Well, what about the Germans?
The Germans.
One way
The Germans.
life.
The Dutch had
the Dutch, of course. What would you call that? All-inclusive or total football.
Yeah.
But you're talking about nations that have been at this for a very, very long time. We're a relatively young nation in football.
We're a small nation, but we have 100 years in football, right?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that. But in other words, but if you could point to 3 very successful moments or time periods in football, you would talk to the 70s, your era.
Right.
People would point to 1989, and then of course 2006.
Right.
Now, if you look at those eras,
And then that's probably only 30 years.
Yeah, you're talking about a relatively...
Well,
short
many
time.
would say that we had outstanding players in the 40s and 50s.
Right.
And I'm talking about players of real quality that I heard about. I didn't see.
Sure.
I could tell you from 1960 going up, aging myself a little bit. But from people will tell you that we had real dribblers, the Babsy Daniels, the Torshals, etc. They say if you see those players, you wouldn't want, they could handle themselves in any sphere in the world. Our own Leroy DeLeon, as an individual creative player. I was at a game where people were coming in late because they're coming through late in the turnstiles, and they came to see Pele play against DeLeon's team. And for the first 10 minutes, they thought, coming in late, that DeLeon was Pele. They thought DeLeon was Pele because Pele said no, the announcer had to announce, no, Pele is the number 10 on the other side. I'm serious, because of the ability that the Trinidadians possess. What I'm saying is, as Tony Clarkey was saying, yes, we need the skill, we need the ability to hold the ball, play with the ball, etc. But the decision-making part of it, that's where we as coaches come in afterwards in the teenage years or a little before the teenage years to get them to use that own skill that we have made an integral part of their makeup. How many players, I hear you calling just now, players from European teams abroad. Call Trinidadians in the last 5 or 10 years with dribbling ability and creativity.
Exactly.
Call them for me.
I mean, Joven is my player only because he can do it all. He can express himself when he needs to, go by people, which I think he should do more, and then he can play it.
But the fact that we can't call that many, is that as a result of bad coaching, or is it just kids are not working as hard as they used to back in the day on honing their craft and you know, becoming really, really good at manipulating a football? I don't know.
I have the answer for that. It's right. It is a bit of both of what you said, and also because of competition. Back in the day, it's either football or cricket you played. Now we have all these video games in-house, and now we don't even need video games in-house. Everybody have the games on their phone. So, right, you find that, right, football has gotten a lot more competition in terms of what people, right, look for entertainment.
But Clarky, that's indicative of any nation right now. I mean, you go to Brazil, the kids are very much exposed to all of the video games and the iPads and the iPhones.
Correct. However, the culture of football, right, you go to Brazil, you go to Argentina. On a Sunday, they will block off one lane of a highway and allow people to ride bike, play small goal, do all sorts of outdoor activities as well. They will block off an entire lane of a highway to allow that outdoor activity, right? The organization in terms of the progression of football, they have a very organized under 12, under 14, under 16. And if you structure your nation in terms of that, then it will become part and parcel. Right now, we do not have a very organized youth, right? How many clubs, right, do you play on a regular basis with your youth team?
I mean, at this point in time, there are 10 clubs. Think about that. There are 10 clubs in this nation that have guaranteed football on a Sunday.
And is that organized by the association? That's
organized by the TT Pro League.
Right.
Right. So outside of that, if I need to play a game, for instance, Steve, I'm going to be calling a gentleman down in Faizabad, for instance, and asking him, hey, listen, on 2 Saturdays from now, are you free? What age groups do you have? I mean,
that's the problem.
That's insane when you think about
but
it.
Let me ask you guys a question, because do you think the coaches now allow the players to express themselves the way they should? Because I remember they used to say that they need 2 balls, one for Steve David and one for the rest of the players. Because nobody's going to tell me when the ball comes to my foot, and any player you in charge of the game. And until you let it up, they're involved. But otherwise, you do what you have to do. But the players now has the strength in character to do what they want, or the coaches is governing
Clamping
them.
I think you would
the
be a
expectations.
madman, Steve, if you were a coach and you had players who had phenomenal dribbling ability to try to in some way stifle that. I think the situation that occurs sometimes is that you have guys who are making, I think Clarkey made a point, who are making bad decisions sometimes in terms of when to really try to destroy people. Maybe they're doing it too close to their own goal, or they're not finding the right times in which to really exploit players. But I mean, I couldn't imagine myself, for instance, having free players who are exceptional dribblers and saying to them, listen, I don't want you destroying that left back as much as you potentially can. You know, I think the question you have to ask as a coach is that kid effective enough in doing what he does that helps our team be better? You know what I mean? So if you had a kid who's in a game and just dribbling aimlessly, so he's going back, he's going square every single time, he's not breaking teams down, then that's when I think a coach has to get involved and say, listen, you know, there's a difference between doing, you know, dribbling in an effective way and doing what you're
Correct.
doing.
Yes.
But I don't think any coach is ever going to say to Lionel Messi, listen, I don't want you to take that guy on.
All right, let me hear what the others have to say after the break. We're going to take a break. No, after the break, I want to hear you guys have to say about whether the coaches now is governing down these players. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Character of the individuals has to be cemented in terms of being able to play that
We have that?
brand of
Be
football.
specific. Do we have that?
I think we can develop it.
Do we
Right.
have it?
But
You don't put yourself in the spot?
I don't think we have it right now, but I think that we must develop.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Guys, I want to hear what you others have to say about is coaches governing the players and putting the
I am convinced that we are overcoaching in Trinidad and Tobago. And I said, we are not unique in that. Recently, I went back to Holland, and Holland is now trying to get street football back into their football system because they think they too have gotten away from some of the tenets that made their players the individual great players like the Ruud Gullits, etc. that they had. So we are not unique with that. What is important is that we have to have somebody like Anthony Sherwood who can discern the right time when to dribble, when not to dribble. But Anthony, how did that young player become an adequate dribbler? We are sometimes killing those players actually before they develop the skill. And that is what is worrying me. Before they develop the skill and ability, we are destroying that. And I have seen that happen on fields throughout Trinidad and Tobago, where you're not giving the youngsters in the grassroots programs enough ability just to play and enjoy themselves.
Right.
You want people to play, enjoy themselves, love the game, have a passion for the game, and they'll be coming back on a regular basis to play this game for the rest of their lives.
Right.
That is what we did. That is why we enjoyed it. That's why we're still involved in it, because the passion was developed under age 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you know, the coaches, you see it and you go to any game, you sit down and you see the ball leave the goalkeeper and you could tell yourself, hey, he's going to play to one of the guys on the wing, he's going to cross it back across the defense, and then he's going to go forward. That is typical football in Trinidad. It happens all the time. Not to say that anything is wrong with it, but I think until we realize that there's a systematic approach to development in any sport, you know, recently I did something where I was showing that when you start your kid at 3-4 years old in football, like, you know, the parents were like, listen, you know, he went 1 week and the other week he didn't want to go. Should we continue? There's no problem there. 3 to 7 years old, the kid could experience anything. At the end of the day, they're just developing fundamental things like coordination and stuff like that. Rolling on the ground, that is great for him. When they reach 7 to about 11, you could give them the choice to choose 1-2 sports that they're interested in. All you guys, or most of the guys that have played at the highest level, they've played 2 or 3 sports. It develops different skills, you know, and only when the kid reaches about 12, 13, 14, then a systematic approach into where they play and all these sort of things could happen. But the reality is I think we need to take away some of the emphasis at the lowest level in terms of the need to win, how to win, because I think telling the kid that, you know, you need to be passing the ball around at 8, 9 years old, before you score and stuff like that. If one of the kid wants to take it from the back and run through the entire team and score, you know, commend him on doing that. You know, if he thinks to pass, commend him on doing that. I think we're just structuring too much of the football at the young age, and it does what you guys are saying. It really does break the creative instinct. So, you know, when the guy reaches at an older age, he probably, one, hasn't developed anything, can't think outside of the box because it has been rigorous from a very young age. And I believe that lies on the coaches.
Whereas we applaud the U.S. for doing a number of things with the structuring of their football, that is the one area that they still continue to struggle. They have not got the right way to create the creative player on a consistent basis. Now and then they have one, and often it comes from a community, an ethnic community, probably South American or European communities where the ethnic community has developed him. But as a group, the U.S. has failed to develop creative players across the board. And that is where their football is, to me, at a standstill, where it should be further ahead. The U.S., because of the investment that they've put into football, they should be much further ahead now with their organizational ability. Their teams are not as creative as we'd like them to be.
And I also
think about on the flip side of that, Doc. Think about where the U.S. is today compared to where we are today. In 1989, we went into a game heavily favored to go to a World Cup. You look at the path that the U.S. has taken today and where they are at the moment, and where we are at the moment. You know, it's
well, of course, it's the money that they put into it. But Alvin is saying they should be further. Because, but if they had the
creative players,
creative players.
Well, I was based in the States for a long time, so I could tell you about all the problems the U.S. has. The biggest problem they experience at the moment is that they're just not identifying that demographic of player who is the son of Nigerian immigrants or the Mexican immigrants. So their player pool primarily came from kids who could afford to play football. You know.
And that's why I was saying, because I think it's too structured at that age group.
Yeah,
for example, Brazil has, at a young age, you could play in a beach football setting. They actually have a league for, it's like dirt. Like when there isn't any grass on the field and you're playing like a dirt football, there's a league for that at a young age. You have grass, you have indoor. So the kids have an opportunity to play in different settings. They're just playing football. You play in about 3 different settings, so you tend to develop different skills. And that is what I've seen with the guys that have been fortunate, you guys and some of the guys on the national team that are being exploited outside now. It's because they've played the concrete football, the small goal. They've played the small goal on grass. They've played football in the savannah on a big field. So you tend to realize that they've played so much different types of football that certain skills were developed, not necessarily systematically by a coach, but they were developing those skills because they were jumping in sand and mud and all these different things, concrete. The U.S. tend to take, when they do those caravans or the league is in one setting, and the clubs have to go to this particular setting. So the persons who are there are the persons who are fortunate enough to be at the clubs, to have the infrastructure and stuff to be there. So you're not getting the guys who have the Nigerian parentage that in a smaller community that might be playing on the basketball court or playing football in an alley. You know, so I think it's all about not giving too much structure to youth football. And I only mean structure, not categorizing it and taking control of it, but structure as in don't set up too many rules in terms of the emphasis of winning and how you go about winning. Allow them the freedom to play at a different environment, allow them the freedom as the kids to express themselves.
Let me put you guys in the spot. We got 4 Dennis Lawrence here, right? And I want to hear from each of you. If you had the Trinidad team now,
What brand?
and how would you set it up, or how would you want your players to play? What brand are you going to use with what we have, or what you're going to ask them to do, or what players you're going to look for because we have no creative midfield, let's say. So what players are you going to look for?
I think he has a great start because I saw a bit of the tiki-taka in midfield, the one-touch, they created their triangles and so on. And I would continue with that. I think what I would do if I was Dennis Lawrence now is incorporate my wing-backs some more. In terms of how the...
Do we have the wing-backs now, though, too? Or you would look for other wing-backs?
We have the quality of player that we can choose from, right? The players available.
Okay.
Right? So it's not that we don't have the player in the country, right? Or out of the country who's a Trinidadian.
So we can make a play if you want. I mean,
well, not make a player. The player's already here. It's
okay,
just
we
that
have it.
Your choice to write who you pick from who you don't pick.
I'm saying if you want to make a player just temporarily for the sake of the show, or I need a different, you can do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? So I like because it is zeroing in on the type of player that we have, skillful, agile, and so on. The character of the individuals has to be cemented in terms of being able to play that.
We have that?
Brand of football.
Be specific. Do we have that?
I think we can develop it.
Do we have it? You don't put yourself in the spot?
I don't think we have it right now, but I think that we must develop it.
Okay.
All right? And the team that he has now, it can be developed because I have seen him, I've seen a great difference in the performance of Kenwyne Jones in terms of how he played previously to now. So therefore, I'm saying that
I want you to be Dennis
influence...
Lawrence. Don't tell me what you see in it. What I want to hear how you do.
No, well, you asked me a question, Steve. You asked me if it is that we can do it. Right. So I'm saying yes, we can do it because the influence on Kenwyne Jones now is evident. All right? So I think that I can influence the other players in terms of the brand and the style of football that I want to play and the character of individual that I would like to have there on the team.
Okay.
But most importantly, I have to include my wing-backs into the game and have my right midfielders drop or whatever the case is. But yes.
All right.
I think I'll take it next because I know Doc and Anthony would have, they have more experience in the technical side of it. But I do believe, me personally, because I am the age, of the guys on the team right now, I've played against those guys. That team is the team, I think. This is my take on it. If I was Dennis Lawrence, I believe that is the team with the brand that we need. If those players were given... Don't want to take away, he has his system, but I think if they're given the opportunity to play how they play, it's a different ball game. The guys like Sheldon Batu and those guys in the defense, those guys are very quick and they're skillful players.
How are you going to play them exactly how they're playing now?
No, not how they're playing now. That's why I said he has. I think the brand of football is what I've been hearing, just as Dr. Henderson said, the 70, 89 squad and stuff like that. They're all runners. I could tell you Molino and Levi Garcia and Jovian Jones, these guys are very quick and they're very skillful. For me, I would put 3 of them in the midfield because I know they could destroy the midfield because they could dribble past any player once they're playing their type of football.
Who's the 3?
Jovian Jones, Kevin Molino, and Levi Garcia.
Okay.
I might even take a risk of putting them
Midfield?
three straight across the midfield. One on the left, Jovian Jones on the left,
Have a
put in
defensive.
Levi, and having Kevin in
Who's
the
going to
middle.
win the balls in the midfield for you?
No, but
Right, and then you have Highland, and Highland is a runner. He's still playing structured football because I believe because of being in Europe, but these guys, I'm saying, if they are given the opportunity to play how they would play in any FET match, if I have to put that setting, it's the type of players that Trinidad and Tobago would be proud of skillfully, and that's just my take on
I
it.
run out of time. Let me hear you guys.
I wouldn't do too much. I wouldn't do much. Anything different. From what Dennis is doing.
You play well.
Your approach to football is going to be based on the character of the players that
Correct.
you have.
Let's include
And I
the
think
wing-backs.
he has a team that hopefully defends well. I think they did a good job against Mexico. Had one or two great chances. That for me at this point in time
It's necessary.
has to be the approach going forward.
Do they have the character now, you think, or you need to buy some character and put it
No, I mean, I hope they have the character. This is their livelihoods
Okay.
on the line.
So all you would do is look for more character.
I would look to tweak one or two of the guys maybe.
Yeah,
in the
include the
attacking part of
wing-backs
the
and
field.
so on,
Yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, I feel like Levi Garcia could be somebody who can really make an impact.
Correct.
He's playing at the highest level of any player in Trinidad and Tobago at the moment.
All right.
He's not playing week in, week out, but he's exposed to
Yes, a
very
very
good
high
defenders
football,
day in, day out.
All
And
right.
I just feel like a guy like that, if you incorporate him well enough, could do some serious
Correct.
damage.
You understand, Alvin?
I will have a mixed brand right now with the players that we have. In that, I don't think our players overall, as a group, are a skillful bunch. So we sometimes have to play a little more direct. My only tweak to the whole thing, my major tweak would be up front. I feel definitely we need pace up front. We don't exploit the space behind people's backs at all with the way that we play now.
So include the wing-backs. Some more include the
Includes
wing-backs.
Plaza, the likes of Plaza, and these runners.
Even with the wing backs that are available or possible in Trinidad and Tobago, I still don't think we'll exploit that space behind if Kenwin Jones plays or even if he doesn't play. We tend to play with our backs to the goal, not using the space behind
Yes.
people's backs enough, and we hardly ever make defenders turn. We hardly ever make them turn, so they don't have any major decisions to make.
My take would be, I need a goal scorer that we don't have. Somebody who I can depend on, like we had with Stone John, we had Cornwall Glenn. I need a player like that. I also need a playmaker in the midfield. We don't have a playmaker, so I need that, and then I need speed. So I have to go out and find that, and they have it somewhere in this country.
Correct.
Whether we go
Are
Toko,
you sure, Steve?
yeah?
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
you
sure.
would be aware, Steve,
Yeah, I
of
think we
every
are.
single player in this country. I mean, you're involved with
Yeah.
with one of the pro league teams. So, is there anybody that comes to mind that's not on the national team at the moment?
There are two
I don't
players-
see that much football.
There are two players that I feel could come back into the national team that would give us that kind of pace and speed. Atula Guerra is one of them. And Willis Plaza playing as a starting forward with pace. Those would be the two for people that Atula Guerra have the ability to hold the ball, get past people. We could bring him back into the fold and use Plaza as a starting forward.
And I need one more. I need a captain. So those are four things. If I am Dennis Lawrence, I'm looking for to find.
He has a
someone.
captain.
Huh?
He has a captain.
Who's the captain?
Kenwin Jones.
I need a captain. I need Kenwin whether I'm banned, but I need a captain.
He has
On
started.
and
He
off
has
the field.
decided. How could you go against him?
No, well, he is
No,
Dennis
I'm
Lawrence
saying
right
if
now. That is what he said.
If I
He is
am,
Dennis Lawrence.
I know he has a captain. I know that too, but I don't think we scientific, but we're not scientific enough. This is what I need. You look at the team. I need these four. I need four things on what I see now.
And I agree with that.
So, all right, we coming to the end. Any parting words for anybody before we got 2 minutes?
Well, I mean,
Nobody?
I personally wish the national team all the best. I know the importance of success at the senior team level in terms of how it resonates with everybody else in the country. We need that excitement.
I think that this concept of brand needs a little more tweaking and discussion.
Correct.
A little wide-ranging discussion throughout more people, more coaches in the Trinidad society, and then we could get them to buy into what we all perceive as the eventual brand that will bring Trinidad and Tobago to the top of CONCACAF football.
Okay, viewers, we've come to the end of another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. I want to thank ACTN for giving us the opportunity to bring this show to you, our viewers. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in every Monday night at 8 o'clock and repeating on Tuesday at 1 p.m. To the panel, thank you guys so much for all that knowledge that you passed on. I'm still learning football, man. Thank you, Narada. Thank you, Anthony Clark. Thank you, Anthony Sherwood. And thank you, Alvin Henderson. I hope you guys can come back so we can talk about this some more. We do have a Facebook page. Check us out. We do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. Drop us a line. My name is Steve David. The show is ended. Go in peace. I'll see you next Monday night. Good night.